You may know that I really like Dark Souls 2, despite it not generally being considered a very good game. And I want to talk about what I think makes a game good versus bad. With that being said, hey, I'm Ray, and this is Second Looks, a series where I take another look at familiar games. Today, I'm looking not at a game, but at what makes a video game bad. I just want to start off this video by saying I'm going to share some thoughts that you may agree with, that you may disagree with. Either way is totally fine. I just ask that, down in the comments, you remain civil, that you remain respectful. This is just supposed to be a fun way to engage with you all. So with a medium like video games, the whole point of them, at least for most people, is to enjoy yourself, to have fun with it. However, I actually don't think whether or not you had fun with a game really is a good indicator of if that game was good or if that game was bad. For instance, a lot of people say that they don't like Dark Souls 2 because they just didn't enjoy it. It's not fun to play, whatever that means for them. And I think that it's valid to not enjoy a game and to not have fun with it. But I don't think that that's an indictment on the quality of the game itself, at least not necessarily. I think that there are plenty of really good, solid video games out there that I personally don't enjoy. And that doesn't mean that I think that they're bad. For instance, I played Minecraft once, way back in the day, and I really didn't have a good time with it. I found it boring. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun with it. But for me to not enjoy something and then immediately go into saying that this is a bad game is just ludicrous by almost any metric. Minecraft is considered a very good game, especially if you look at sales. It's one of, if not the most sold game ever. So obviously my enjoyment doesn't actually affect what the quality is. So what does affect quality? I then thought about maybe it has to do with, does the game function? But to be honest, I don't even think that a game has to function well for it to be enjoyable and considered a classic or to be considered good. If you look at Skyrim, it is an absolute buggy mess. I mean, buildings disappear, people flop all over the place, there are innumerable glitches, and yet it's generally considered a good game. Obviously, there are some mods to fix up some of those things, so even then, Dark Souls 1, back with the Prepare to Die edition, ran terribly on PC back in the day. But with DS Fix, that quote-unquote fixed the game, which, was it a bad game before and then it became good? I don't think so. Not to mention there's a whole subculture of video game players known as speedrunners who love glitches. They take advantage of them, and that means that the game is broken, but it's still a good game. They still enjoy themselves with it. So far I've marked off the idea that personal enjoyment really makes a game good. I've also marked off the idea that whether the game runs well makes it good. And don't get me wrong, if the game literally crashes and breaks down, I would say that's a pretty bad game. And I do think that if the issues that it has, the crashes, the bugs, the glitches, if those get in the way of enjoyment, that can be an issue and make it bad. But again, that circles back to, just because that ruined my experience doesn't mean that it doesn't make somebody else's experience better. So I've eliminated two things already. What left is there to quantify if a game is good or not? And that kind of led me to this idea of, does a game meet expectations? If marketing for a game shows off one thing and shows off all these crazy things that you can do and promises so much, and then you get the game and that experience that you're actually given doesn't meet what was shown to you, then it doesn't meet expectations. And I think that's kind of how we gauge if a game is bad or not. People expected one thing out of Dark Souls 2. They expected more Dark Souls 1. They expected whatever it is they expected. And because they didn't get that, they labeled it as bad. When Cyberpunk 2077 came out, it was in a state that was not at all what was promised to us. It didn't meet expectations, and it was labeled as a bad game. Likewise, price can affect our expectations of a game. If a game is being sold at $20, you're going to have lower expectations for the scope of the game, for the kind of breadth and depth of mechanics within the game. But if that same game at $20 is really good is sold for $70, then we might view it as bad because we expect more out of our content that we pay more money for, which I think is totally reasonable. But again, if a game is good at one price, does that make it bad at the next, despite it not, well, should not be sold at that price? And I'm not really sure about that. So maybe that's the key there is, does a game meet expectations? And if it does, it's good. If it doesn't, it's bad. I think that makes sense. But then I ran into some issues with that thought as well. Everybody's expectations for a game are different. Again, going back to Dark Souls 2, because that's where this all started. Just because you expected one thing and didn't get it, you didn't enjoy your experience and therefore labeled it bad. But I didn't hold those same expectations, and I had a perfectly fine time and really ended up loving the game. So I really don't know what makes a game bad. Maybe I'm saying that I don't think that there are bad games, and I don't really know if that's true. I think there definitely are some. I would say, classic examples of Superman 64 or the old ET game are probably considered bad games. But I kind of eliminated some of what makes those bad just because they're boring and not enjoyable. I kind of fought back on that already. Just because they're a little bit buggy and glitchy, I already fought back on that a little bit. So I'm kind of left wondering what actually makes a game bad. And unfortunately, I don't have a conclusion for this. I just wanted to make this video, share some thoughts, maybe get some provocative thoughts out there, and then hear what you guys have to say. I really want to utilize the comments on this one. Tell me what you agree with that I said. Tell me what you disagree with about what I said. Tell me what you think. Debate with me, debate with each other. I ask, just keep it civil. This is just about video games, a medium that we all love and want to get enjoyment out of. This is not serious. This is not the end of the world. So just please be respectful as we kind of have some civil back and forth, okay? And finally, just let me know if you like these style of videos. They're really easy to produce on my end. It's a lot of fun just to kind of share some thoughts that maybe I haven't thought all the way through, rather than a fully scripted essay that I usually share with you all. I'm really hoping just to get some good conversation going in the video. As I mentioned, I just having these thoughts, wanted to get them out there and see what you guys thought. And maybe through that conversation, I'll be able to solidify my own opinion a little bit more. And don't worry, this is just kind of a bonus episode. My Sultan Sanctuary Obsession video is still planned to come out this Thursday. I just scheduled it a little earlier this week, so there should be nothing getting in the way. Hopefully I'll see you there. But until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope that you know that you matter in this world. Take care.